Hey, college football fans. It's Vince and Drew with Power 5 Fanatics coming at you with our takeaways from week 6 and previous weeks. Um, my first takeaway, Drew, is the top 10, at least our top 10, the Power 5 Fanatics, the only one that really matters anyway.
Right.
Um, those teams, going into the season, it was like most people were thinking, okay, there's 4 to 6 teams that really have a legitimate.
Really, for a while there was like Alabama and Clemson.
Yeah, I
Was
know.
everyone's pick.
But if you're going to be honest, you can say, okay, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6.
Maybe Georgia, Michigan, maybe some of those teams.
Ohio State.
We're kind of the preseason favorites.
My takeaway is so far through week 6 is there's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that I could say you could legitimately say has more than a 1 in 100 chance to win the national title, or 1 in 1,000.
Right.
Those teams, the obvious ones: Alabama, Clemson, of course, Ohio State, Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma. Then you got the other ones that you got to really include. Well, of course, LSU is one that most people weren't including that list.
Right.
Wisconsin, Penn State, Notre Dame, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And could Texas make a run? I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, you include Texas in that conversation, obviously, if they win this week.
Obviously, depend on how this week goes, yeah.
If they win this week, you got to include them too. So I think for college football fans, it's really exciting, especially if you're a fan of one of these other schools, or college football fans, period, because there's more parity. It seems like teams actually have a shot now. That's my takeaway this week. It's the dominant ones. The field's expanded a little bit.
Yeah, that is I've noticed that as well. It's definitely made the game a lot more exciting.
It has.
And it's I think definitely helping out the sport, because it's kind of become, at least the past couple years,
very stale.
The same matchups, and we still may end up getting those same matchups by the end of the season, but at least we have it in our heads, maybe the hope of getting some different teams matched up there, which is great as college football fans. The second takeaway, or my first takeaway for this week in particular, is Oregon is far and away, at least at the moment, the best team in the Pac-12. Going into last weekend, and who had Washington upset alert against Stanford?
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought they were going to take care of business. But they lost, and they got their second loss this past weekend, and they got a tough slate ahead of them. They may end up dropping another 1 or 2 games. Who knows? They still have to play Oregon and Washington State.
Yeah, things have changed somewhat, because going further back than that, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I mean, there was 4 or 5 teams where you say, any of them. I'm talking Utah, Cal.
Yeah.
And
Cal's now got 2 losses as well.
It seemed like Oregon is taking a step forward from the
I know Auburn lost this past weekend to Florida.
Yeah, but that's a pretty good loss.
What I'm trying to say, though, is the Oregon loss to Auburn
does not look bad.
Doesn't look that bad. And even though Auburn lost this past weekend, it still doesn't look that bad.
No.
Because Auburn is a pretty good team, or at least has shown so far that they are. They're the only chance right now, I think. If you're a Pac-12 fan, you're rooting for Oregon to win out and then also win the conference championship. There's a chance that maybe they could get in, but they've got to keep winning.
Oh, I think if they win out, they probably are in.
Yeah.
But that's a big if, because, again, the Pac-12
it's deep,
has been probably the most competitive conference top to bottom.
Yeah.
So, but I do think they are, in a horse race, they're the horse pulling a couple lengths ahead.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how that continues. Honestly, I don't even know who they play this week. Anyways, every week in the Pac-12, regardless who it is, it's going to be a dogfight.
Right.
And they haven't actually looked unbeatable either.
Right.
I mean, they won last week 17-7 against Cal. So, anyway, so we'll just see how they go. But so far, the Ducks, I agree, do look like they're leading the pack.
It'll be interesting to see how that continues.
The third takeaway that we have for this week, some of the candidates for Coach of the Year, these coaches maybe, they kind of come out of nowhere a little bit. And, some of them are well known, but they're playing over and above what they have in the past or their programs are.
Or continuing to trend in the right direction
Yeah.
in some cases as well.
Number one is Ryan Day. I mean, he has Ohio State. No one really knew what to expect. We knew they were going to be a good team, but they just look like the best team in the nation right now, top to bottom. Their offense, defense, special teams, they just look better than everybody else. Fields has been a great quarterback. But anyway, I think Ryan Day deserves some credit there.
And it's incredibly impressive because if you would have told me, okay, Ohio State is going to lose a first-round quarterback, a first-round edge rusher, and a legendary head coach, and they might be better.
Yeah, I think they're better.
I mean, they might be better this year. We'll have to see.
So far, I think
Ohio
they are
State
better.
looked really good last year too, up to this point, and then they lost.
There was no time last year
Purdue.
I thought Ohio State was the best team in college football,
and this year I legitimately think that they're the most complete team. And who knows? These are Urban Meyer's guys, but Ryan Day has brought in a new quarterback from a different system. He's got them up to speed. The kid's playing great, and he's got the whole team playing with an attitude. So it's been impressive to actually see that happen, honestly.
Another coach, again, he's an old veteran, but Ed Orgeron.
Right.
I think he's shown his leadership and administrative abilities, bringing in his new offense or at least passing coordinator, who is a New Orleans Saints.
Joe Brady, yeah.
And so it's totally changed the dynamics of their team because they're not winning games 20-14; they're winning games 52-20, and their defense has still been playing great. So they got that. Now they actually got an offense, and they're definitely one of the more improved teams, I would say, from last year. Definitely in the national title hunt. Burrow has been playing out of his mind. I mean, he's in the Heisman Trophy discussion just because every week it seems like he throws 4 touchdowns. I don't know how he couldn't be. Then a third one would be down in Dallas, SMU's coach, Sonny Dykes. They brought in Bouchel, and he's thriving. And their offense is thriving, and they're undefeated. First time they've been undefeated at this point of the season since 1982. They are, at least they're on our top 25.
And I'll say this about...
I think they're in the AP top 25 too. I think they're around 20.
I'll say this about SMU as well.
We have them at 20 also.
If you pay at all attention to recruiting, SMU is not one of the, at least, since the death penalty, has not been one of the major powers in recruiting. But, a lot of the Texas recruits from the Dallas area, they used to not bring up SMU. They're bringing up SMU now. With Sonny Dykes
this is
there.
huge for the recruiting.
They got a lot of great recruiters there as well. So they're on the right track here to keep keeping this thing rolling.
Well, within 300 miles of Dallas is... I don't know how many blue chips are there. 20% of the entire country. Tons. I don't know, but there's a lot of them there.
So if you just get a few of those guys to come to SMU, things are going to start changing there.
Oh, I think so. That's what happened in the 80s. It might have happened in a different way, but they were getting the players.
Right.
And then a couple, just wanted to mention PJ Fleck from Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Matt Rule from Baylor. Both of their squads are, they're undefeated. They're both top
Incredibly
25.
Impressive.
They got a tough schedule coming up, both of them, because they kind of get into the meat of the conference from both of them. But so far, so good, and you got to give those guys credit because most people did not see those teams undefeated going into Week 7. Like nobody would have thought that. Anyway, that's the third takeaway we got. And Drew, what's your fourth takeaway?
Yeah, so the fourth takeaway of this week is after Week 6, Week 7, whenever you want to start looking at this, I like to kind of reflect back on who the incoming freshmen were and who are the impact players out of that group that are contributing to their team winning games, because I think that's really interesting. First one I have on here is Noah Cain, the running back at Penn State. He kind of started off a little slow, but he's been a threat in the passing game as well. But this past weekend, I think he had 25 carries and 125 yards, and was averaging 6-7 yards of carry and a couple touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty.
Could have another Saquon
impressive.
Barkley.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. Who knows? I mean, the guy's.
Well, he's continuing the Penn State running back tradition.
If he keeps that thing rolling, who knows? I also have Derek Stingley with LSU. He's a cornerback. And, of course, he was a 5-star blue chip recruit, I think, out of California. And I really started noticing him when I watched the LSU-Texas game, week 2. He was manning up Colin Johnson, who's a potential first-round wide receiver in the NFL draft. And he was winning those battles. The kid is really impressive as a freshman.
18 or 19-year-old.
Yeah, he stole a position as well from some other.
He probably won't be at LSU for maybe another year, and that's probably it.
I got Wan'Dale Robinson, the kind of scat back or all-purpose back for Nebraska. He's had a pretty good season so far. I think he has like 25 receptions. And
he's been about their only offense lately.
Seems like it. I think he's got like 25 or something receptions and 325 yards. I mean, that's a lot of yards through 6 games for a freshman. So if he continues that, that's really impressive. And the last one here I could see really kind of taking the right steps is Garrett Wilson. He's a wide receiver at Ohio State. He really showed a lot in the spring game up at Ohio State, and he really was looking physical out there. I think at the moment he's at 100 or 10 receptions for 100 yards or something like that, which isn't a ton, but you can kind of see the potential there that maybe he's not getting as much playing time behind some guys, but he still has 10 catches and 100 yards, and he showed some things in the spring game. So I'm excited to see how these guys continue to, kind of move forward in their careers. I'll also be keeping an eye on some other guys. Like to see some more, out of like Kayvon Thibodeau, Owen Papo, some different guys like that. I want to see what those guys can do. But it's interesting to see after about halfway through the season what some of these incoming freshmen have done. So, anyways.
Guys, that's our takeaways. Y'all let us know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe, share, like. Hit the notification bell because we're going to be putting a lot of videos out in the next couple days. And we appreciate you spending your day with us. Thanks.
Thanks.